You're listening to Todd's Pod. On today's episode, we get into something that's kind of a serious subject and something that's kind of near and dear to my heart that I get fired up about. Now, this is just my viewpoint, and it definitely does not cover all sides of the issue, and I know that there are plenty of other viewpoints and ideas about this issue. So, take it as you will, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Todd's Pod. I am your host, Todd Napper, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the show. Today, I am going to be talking a little bit about, I guess, kind of a heavy subject. This is my podcast. It is raw, and it is pretty much unedited. I may end up editing out a few uhs and thus and blah, blah, blah. But this is pretty much how it's going to be. I just talk about things that are going on in my life and things that that are kind of on my mind at the moment. And at this moment and over the last couple of weeks, this subject has been weighing pretty heavy on my mind due to an event that happened with a coworker a couple of weeks, or I guess earlier this week. This is March the 20th, 2021, and I want to talk a little bit about suicide awareness today and just kind of give my thoughts and maybe give a little bit of insight on what a big deal this is. I knew it was a big deal, but I started doing a little bit of research and started doing a little bit of deep dive on it a little bit, because of, like I said, an event that happened at my job over the past week. We ended up losing a coworker to suicide last Saturday, as a matter of fact, and this was somebody that I worked with closely for about 2 weeks. This is a new job for me, and I love it, and I just love what I get to do, but I'd worked closely with this guy for about 2 weeks, and I knew that he had been going through some stuff. I knew that he had been struggling with some things, but I didn't know just to what depth it had gone. And come to find out Monday morning that he had committed suicide over the weekend. And it hit me really hard because, yeah, I worked with the guy. I worked closely with him. He's we worked across the table from each other, and it hit me hard. And this is not the first time that I've been affected by a suicide. I've had some suicide in the family. I had a cousin commit suicide, and even my wife, her father's father, I believe, had committed suicide. So these are things that I know people closely that have been affected by this act, and it got me to thinking, I mean, how can we stop this? It's bad. And I know that everyone knows it's bad, but man, this is something that affects everyone. It not only affects the person who committed suicide, it affects their family, it affects their friends, it affects their coworkers, and it's something that rates. I just started doing some research, and it said, suicide has grown over the years. It's something that has become more and more prevalent, and sometimes, okay, I'll be honest, folks. This is just going to be me talking. I may be all over the place. I'm going to have some facts and figures that I pull up here in a minute, and then there's going to be some thoughts of some ideas of, I'll ask you the question, people who are listening, what do you think we can do to stop this problem? And it's a problem because, there are people who feel like suicide is something that people just feel like they don't have any other options. They're in too much pain. They don't see a way out of their situation. They're going through these issues. They're going through a problem. Case in point, my coworker, a couple weeks ago, according to his story and what he had told me, he had lost his mom. Then at the same time, his wife decided to leave him, and then on top of that, his car blew up on him, and it just all of these different things just hit him all at one time, and it just got to the point to where he felt like there was no hope, and there was no point in living. There was no point in going on, and all of these things. And I thought I was trying to do the best that I could by listening to him, and I'm not great at giving advice, but I tried to give him advice. I tried to, let him know, hey, maybe if you take this step, or, and it wasn't something where I was more just trying to listen to him and hear him out, because I know in my case that if I'm going through something, and if I'm going through a situation or a problem or something like that, it helps me to talk about things and not get advice. Because a lot of times if I'm talking to somebody, I don't want advice. I just want them to hear me and say, you know what, dude, that sucks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're having to go through that. And that makes me feel better just for the simple fact that I've unloaded my feelings onto something. But obviously this was not the case for this man, because apparently he needed more than just an ear to listen to. And it's something to where I know that it makes us who are close to them, it's family members, it makes family members kind of step back and say, what could we have done differently? What could we have done and to have saved him from doing this? And it's just, you don't know. Whenever here's what it's like. Here's what it's like feeling suicidal. You feel intensely, and these are some facts that I've seen on the internet, and obviously you can't believe everything that you read on the internet, but I can relate to some of these, and I think these are good facts. And what is it like to be suicidal? You feel intensely and profoundly alone, and you just feel like there's, even in a crowd of people, you feel like you're just completely isolated from the world. You just feel like there's no one that understands, and then you feel completely helpless and trapped in your negative situation, and you literally cannot fathom a way out of it. You feel worthless and have a flooding negative intrusive thought. You feel worthless and have flooding negative intrusive thoughts that tell you the most horrible things about yourself. You feel like a burden, and like your loved ones would actually be better off without you. Now, all of these things may not be true, but your state of mind gets to this point in time to where you just do not see a way out. And that's just different ways that how you feel, how people feel when they are suicidal. Just a few facts. I got this from chapterland.org. Just a few facts about suicide. Suicide was the 10th leading cause of death in the United States in 2020. These are all facts about 2020, just our last year. And I know that 2020 was a banner year, and may be a little skewed because of the whole COVID situation and all that kind of stuff and whatever. I'm not even going to get into all of that. But what I am focusing on is the suicide attempts and the successful attempts of suicide. Like I said, suicide was the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. It says on average, 132 Americans. This is just America. I also looked at a few of the larger scale attempts. This is just the United States. This is not worldwide. But it says on average, 132 Americans die by suicide each day. That's not even talking about a week or anything. That's every day. And I know that the veterans, I have a little fact here on the veterans as well, but I also know that every 22 minutes, a veteran either commits suicide or tries to commit suicide. There's a lot of good organizations out there for the veterans who are trying to lower that number, who are trying to help them. I think it's there's a I wish I could remember. I should have had this up, but there's something called Ever 22 or something like that, and I don't remember. I'm sorry, but there's there are good organizations trying to help our veterans because, man, they go through so much, and I can't even fathom what veterans have gone through, and people who have seen battle and seen war and been through wars, and I can't even imagine what they've done and what they've gone through. I can't even imagine what they struggle with. But I know that there are a lot of good organizations out there who are trying to help veterans get through this and realize that there is a better way than suicide. Like I said, I wish I had the organizations in front of me. That is something I should have looked up ahead of time, so I apologize for that. This is live. This is me. But on average, like I said, 132 Americans die by suicide every day. 90% of those who died by suicide had a diagnosable mental health condition at the time of their death. So mental health is a huge factor in all of this as well. And it's so important for people to take care of their mental health, which is something else that bugs the ever-living snot out of me. Because everybody talks about taking care of your mental health. Everyone talks about taking care of your mind and your mental state and your emotions and things like that. But they don't allow for people to actually do that. If you look up the cost of counseling, if you look up the cost for people trying to get help, it's astronomical. And a lot of places don't take insurance. Or they're people like me who at the moment who don't have insurance. So how in the world are they supposed to pay for it? I mean, yeah, there's the suicide hotlines and all that kind of, that's great. I fully support all of that. But what about the people who can't afford to get help? What about the people who can't reach out to someone to talk to someone because they don't have $75 every session? Some people need more than once a week. They don't have $75 a week to spend on that kind of stuff. Where is the help? Where are the people that where can those people go to? Yeah, mental health is a huge issue. Mental health and suicide go hand in hand. So if we want to reduce the numbers of suicide, if we want to reduce the numbers of people trying to commit suicide, try to get them some counseling help. We need wow, am I going to sound like a socialist here or something? We need programs that are able for people to reach out to get real help. Even BetterHelp.com, a great company, and if you have the ability and the money to get it, go for it. Get the help. Even talking about financial aid and all that kind of stuff, it still doesn't matter. I mean, even if some people can't even afford $30 a week or $25, they're struggling to put food on the table. How in the world are they going to get help? Which in turn also stresses them out and gives them even more issues down the road and trying to, stress is a big factor on suicide. People who are, I know stress was a factor with my coworker because he didn't know how in the world he was going to afford his house. He didn't know how he was going to afford to live. He couldn't afford to buy a new car. You'd think he really could have had help to get you really think he would have had the money to try to get mental help and talk to a counselor? No. Anyway, this is something that it really fires. I'm really getting sorry that I'm getting fired up about all this, but it's something that is really important to me, and all of these different facts. It's 48,344 Americans died by suicide in 2020 alone. It is the second leading cause. It's the second leading cause of death for ages 10 through 34. It's the fourth leading cause of death for ages 35 to 54. That's all in 2020. In 2017, the suicide rate was 1.5 times higher for veterans than for non-veteran adults over the age of 18. Like I said, 22, they say 22 minutes, every 22 minutes a veteran commits suicide. These are issues that we have to fix. Over 950,000 years of potential life were lost to suicide before age 65. Also, another fact